Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 68th episode of the HSBG Podcast. I'm your host, Educatedcollins. I'm here with my constant co-host, Shady Bunny. Shady, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Collins. How are you today?
I am okay, I guess. Anyways, we've got a short episode for you today, Copium.
Copium.
There is a lull, though. There isn't that much, I would say, going on. There's probably a number of reasons. Maybe we'll get to it, but not too much like patch notes or any like lobby legends details or anything like that to talk about. So we'll just be talking about meta and maybe something else. But we will see. Moving on, we always talk about the weekly overview. How was your week, Shady?
Pretty good, honestly. I think I'm not sure if I was 14K last week or just like doing well. But I was 14 for just a little bit, and then I wasn't really sure, do I camp or not? I was like, let's play. All right, down to 13.5. So I was like, oh shit, I had a bad day, minus 500. But then I made 400 back. I think I was minus 450 actually, and I made 400 back. So I'm doing okay-ish. I'm close to 14K, and I'm playing some games on an A as well. And overall, it feels like the meta is just flowing like well for me, and that's usually we are really close to the end of the a big chapter, because the Mmr Reset is happening this month, right? And generally speaking, Mmr Reset does bring a big change with it, so we'll see what that is. But yeah, I think it's sort of right on schedule for me to really find my stride as we're in the final month of the meta. What about you, Collins?
I don't remember this week, honestly. It's all a blur. I mean, up and
Blur.
down kind of
Yeah, sure.
game. I don't know. Like what the meta hasn't changed, so nothing's really changed. Playing the game and winning and losing. Copium, it's all the same, really.
One blur of dragons flashing by.
Yeah, dragons and cold wars earlier. Just a blur.
Yeah. I play more quills than I play dragons,
Yeah.
which is funny. I usually play quills with a chroma on my board. I just have a chroma left, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think cold wars are one of the strongest, if not the strongest, archetypes.
Yeah.
So makes sense. You'll force that if you can.
Been playing a ton of Felbat as well. It's been going well for me. Like the games where I have like tricksters on my board, and then just Felbat. It's been good. So I'm not sure if that's just the sample size thing, recency bias, etc. But I wasn't really a big Felbat.
I have not been playing Felbat. So.
Yeah, I've been. I think it was this one time where I was playing and I was about to take a nosy over Felbat, and Zixo is like, "The fuck are you doing?" Right?
Yeah, so, I would also be very questioning you.
Well, the context there was that I was playing Deathwing and Eliza was in.
I don't need context.
Sure, yeah. Screw nuance. Who needs nuance? Hey, this guy was about to pick a nosy over a Felbat. Hello.
I don't need.
All right, yeah. It's like, but I had a Tony on my board and perfect setup. Right?
If you have a Tony on your board, then I can see it.
You can excuse it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I did not have a Tony on my board, so it was not excusable at the time. But no, for real, that moment made me think a little bit more about like, oh yeah, Felbat's okay, right? So because I used to not really like it. Like I just feel like all Murlocs are in the lobby. I don't like it. But it's like you still need to find the 7. You still need to survive. You still need to proc. And I feel like that's becoming increasingly more difficult in this meta where you just get donked in the head by dragons.
It's been difficult immediately. I realized that like so early. Like who plays Murlocs? Like you're a mega high rolling these days.
Well, not really. I think it was before the introduction of Greasebot. I think you were still doing a ton of 7 scam builds. And I still do, I think, in the
that was a long time ago, though. You're talking about a month and a half.
Yeah, but that becomes sort of your, at least for me, it becomes part of my operating thing where like if Murlocs, no demons, blah 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 blah, and I just needed to update that a little bit. Be like, oh, it's actually okay. I can actually make a trickster in a lobby with Murlocs, and sometimes it's actually just gonna be really good. Now today I lost because my opponent had a perfect poison scam build, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I mean,
okay, I
it
took
still
second, right?
happens,
It happens. But yeah, so that for me was a good little thing. But like, it's not because your opponent can counter you that they will, which is silly, because that's a concept I obviously have grasped in many other cases where, like, let's say we're playing arena, it's like, it's not because they can flame strike you, they will, so you have to play your cards, etc. But it's cool to see that those shifts still happen, because that was a pretty big shift for me. So just say I'm just going to play into the poison, and
don't
if
respect your
someone,
opponent, Shady. Like it's the
maybe
same
it's that, maybe it's that.
concept over and over, like over and over. Like
Sure. So
uh,
I think the big part for me, because I think the Felbat stuff is more just an extension of a different concept, which is just kind of go with the flow more. And I think that's also a byproduct of the game being a bit more mature in this meta, where we've just seen a lot of it. And sure, there's been changes here and there, but for the most part, we've playing with the same cards for quite a bit. So it's easier to go with the flow, right? If a new set of cards is released, or like big nerfs happen, or whatnot, right? Let's say we're at the very beginning of a meta, then it's harder to quote unquote just go with the flow, because you don't know what the flow is, right? You don't know what those birds are going to look like, this and that. So it's been easier for me now to just say, oh, I'll just do a tier 2 build here, and then I'll just level here, and I'll figure it out. So I can't believe I'm saying that more, but I'm playing a lot more like you, which just like, I'll figure it out. I can't not have a plan, so I have several plans in my head, but I'm just like, well, let's just see how I get there, right? I usually, most games I start with, I want to play Dark Gaze. I'll see how I play Dark Gaze. So
very, very fair. In honor of the previous Lobby Legends champion, I have some Waterloo sparkling water. I thought that was. I was laughing when I drank. I was like, oh yeah.
all right, yeah.
But speaking of Lobby Legends, we can go on to the next topic. Lost in the
Sure.
qualifiers again. I don't really feel like the guy in the picture, heading the. Maybe I did like right afterwards, but like no, I don't care. But yeah, I mean, it is a difficult finals to get to. I just think there's a lot of good players, and you only have 3 games really to do well. And like I just don't get as lucky, or bad heroes. You're like I lose 20%ers. I don't know why. Like all the bad luck seems to accumulate. It's kind of unfortunate, but whatever. I mean, I'm not gonna dwell on it. I play 3 games and work out for us, and maybe next one, right? I'm in every Lobby Legends qualifier, so maybe the next one we'll see. But moving on. Anything you want to talk about this, or we can go?
I mean, just the usual, right? But you don't usually enjoy me saying that. Like, it's just you being there, right? That's already the win, right?
No one
Like,
cares. It
I
really
know,
no
I
it's
care,
not a
Colin.
win.
I
Literally,
care.
no one cares if you're in every
It's
like it
it's
doesn't matter.
such
No, there's no credit
yeah, but
associated.
it
Nothing. It's
doesn't
pointless.
it
I'm
yeah, but it
telling you.
doesn't matter if people care or not. I'm just, for me, at least the mindset I have for myself, and you can have whichever mindset for yourself, is that it's really, really toxic to just purely go off that result, especially because it's a set of 3 games, and if you make it through to the next round, another set of 3 games, and it's very binary. Did you go and get the flip into the flip? We call it a flip, but obviously you have to play really well. But then even if you're still, you can play really, really well in a lobby full of those killers. We know that when you're playing ladder, matchmaking RNG is so big. So imagine if you're playing in a tournament like that, where everybody really, really knows how to play their hero. You queue into a tog rag along the wrong turn, you're taking your 15 or whatnot. So there is a huge portion of RNG in those tournaments. So I find it really, really toxic for myself if I just purely look at the outcome. So I think you can feel good or bad about how you played. And obviously it's fun to, advance to the next stage. And like you said, people start caring to see your name in there. But I think for your mental health, it's so bad. So that's why I'm saying, like, I try to, to not have it be a factor, be like, oh, do people care or not? Right. And just, I care about my own play my own growth as a player. It's obviously a lot easier said than done. In the moments, advancing and winning, it feels good. Like there's no denying it, right? Like if you advance, like, it feels good, but you're setting yourself up to lose because you're going up into a tournament where
Shady.
it's
I want the
you
money.
are. I know
care
you do.
about this.
Everybody wants the money.
If I could just take the money, I'll just take the money. Like I don't care. It feels good to win. What are we talking about here?
Okay, whatever. It feels good to win the money. There you go, Collins. It feels good to win the money. But even then, right? It's still going to be a process, right? So, obviously. I guess my point is that if you have a good mindset and you keep it up, then over time you get that result. Because if you go in every time with the mindset of if I don't qualify, it's a failure, then you're going up against 47 of the other strongest players in the world, and only 12 make it through. So there's going to be a whole lot of disappointment every time you enter a tournament like that.
Yeah, well, I know. I'd just say like, I moved on next time. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that's good.
But I still want to win. Like that's not the point. Anyways, whatever. I didn't want to draw on this picture for too long. So
sure.
Let's move on particularly. So there isn't too much, I would say, topics to talk about. We're just really going to be talking about the meta. But I figured since we don't have a lot of topics, feel free, chat, if you want to ask questions or whatever. We'll try to answer them. Maybe not all of them, and maybe I'll just ignore you if I don't like you. But generally, if you have any questions about metas or like curves or whatever, why not? Why not see what chat can think up? See if they're interesting. But generally, we will be trying to cover at least what our thoughts on the meta is. There's a good chance, like I was talking about Shady, like there's a likely reason for the lull is just because of like TwitchCon, and they didn't really have a lot of like patches or things during the TwitchCon, and they're probably working on like a new season, right? They call it seasons, right? They usually have them a month after the constructed expansion, so it's around this time they have a big BG patch, so they're probably working on that. And so maybe the coming weeks we'll have like this large BG change, and then we have something to talk about. But this is like probably gonna be the driest period of BGs for this like cycle, I think, like this particular week. So that kind of thing. But other than that, we can kind of get talking about it. So I just kind of have the HS replay data here. It's I think this is like a jumping off point, just kind of.
Yeah, I had the same thing in mind, so it's good.
But I mean, like right now, like the meta is pretty obvious. Like dragons are really, really strong because of the synergy Chroma Wing has with the other one dragon. If you get multiple copies of those two, you can really, really scale and win the early game and level safely. Like I think that's probably the strongest part about it. You get to level safely while like taking no damage, and then once you level safely, maybe it gives you a triple as well, and then you can kind of build your comp either around the dragons, or you can build something entirely while having like this big bouncer to keep you safe. So it's no surprise that Ysera, who guarantees the dragons, is going to be overwhelmingly safe, overwhelmingly strong. People seem to play Ysera very it's not greedy, but very I want to get the one drops as many, or the Chroma Wings as many as possible, and then I will stay down for a long time and then level. Like I see people with like 8 Chroma Wings, and then they'll level. and it's so hard to beat that early. Like even mid, like early to mid, you still can't beat that. Like they end
Yeah.
up having like 60-60 chroma wings, right? And there's nothing that really can scale that quickly, as fast as that. So
No, it's almost like you need to be you need to like triple into a manted queen and catch them with bad positioning or something.
yeah, but I mean,
Otherwise,
if they
it's,
position better, then it doesn't matter either, right? And then
yeah, but I
also
mean,
the weird thing
I
is
would say,
like
yeah, okay,
the way the whelps interacts, the whelp burns before the mantids proc.
yes,
So
yes.
you can do what you're saying, and then like, oh, I just lost the
Then you
burn
lose
for
the
7. Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, no, I will definitely interject like a rant there where it's such an incredibly feel bad experience when I was playing mechs earlier on a Sarfang, which usually goes okay for me, but like that lobby, 6 people were playing dragons, and it's just completely unnecessary that an opponent who already has this bullshit dragon board, no risk required, gain stats while leveling, that they also have a chance like, oh, I just hit your deflecto and now you always lose. Ha 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 ha. Right? Like it's so dumb that the whelp does that. Now it's really hard to sit here and say whelp is OP, stupid card or whatever, but I hate that it's viable. It's one of those cards that it just randomly messes a lot of the time with boards that are already a bit more on the fringes. When you're going with any kind of Exodia build, when you're going with a Baron build, when you're going with a Macaw, when you're going, in this case, with a Divine Shield, the whelp just, like let's say 20% of the time, or maybe even a higher percentage, just automatically wins the fight for the opponent because it just hit at the wrong place at the wrong time. Really, really annoying.
I really wanted to like interrupt you, like shady. They ask questions, like shut up. But
No, 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 no,
I'm
no.
not.
It's okay. I mean, I would never interrupt you when you're shitting on macro, right? So that's just an understanding.
You should.
You don't interrupt the man that's ranting about something.
I did it.
Like, I lost my train of thought. I had more shit. I had more reasons why this is stupid. So my TLDR there is I hope dragons are actually not going to be viable. Because it's so dumb when they have whelp, man. I just don't want people to have whelp. Whelp is so stupid.
Yeah. Also, they should probably fix that interaction because they manually changed like Illidan's triggers to proc before other things, and yeah. So they should probably just make it where Mantid procs before a whelp trigger like every time.
Where it's 2 BS, right? If the whelp,
it just doesn't make sense. Like it should be a bug. Like honestly, the way it should be, but obviously they're not gonna say that.
I think it's like random-ish. I think the minions. Is whelp always triggering before?
So sometimes whelp will trigger, and then Mantid will trigger, and then the second whelp will trigger.
Right.
So it's not even. But like I think the first whelp always triggers before the first Mantid.
Oh, okay. Because I've also seen whelps snipe promo drakes, and then they don't buff.
Same thing. Yeah.
Also incredibly fuck
whelp
that.
Should be last, right? Like it should be last in the queue.
Or all the buffs should go off first, right?
Okay, so it should be before Illidan's though, but. But then again,
what do you mean before
you can't
Illidan?
do that because okay, so the Illidan hero power goes like first, pretty much, right? So if you have a whelp in the first or last position, it'll attack and then they don't burn, so they'll just attack and die.
But that's just dumb, right? As the Illidan, they don't put your whelp first.
So what if your only unit as well? Like what? Like
then you fucked up, man. If you only have whelp.
What do you mean? It's turn 1, you buy a whelp, you fucked up. Like I don't agree with that.
No, then you just accept that you don't get the shot, right?
So you lose to a pup bot. But
Yeah,
it's
I
like
mean,
it's so silly. I
yeah,
don't
but
like
you play Lich King. You accept that you can't reborn a micro mummy, man. Like you might lose to something. Be like, yeah,
but
tough shit, man. Like you've bought a micro mummy. It doesn't work
no,
well with your hero power.
I'm not happy with the interaction. All of that. That's all I'm saying. You know, just
Okay, whatever. You
let
know, like
let's answer some questions. Any
yeah,
of
yeah,
the
this is
heroes in
really
this list that surprised you? So just like looking at it, like this isn't the full list or this the other ones,
yeah,
but
yeah. No, I'm
like in
looking
the
at it.
top, I would say.
So we're looking at the top 1%. So Guff, I would say, has no business being third for the way we play, but I
But
guess it makes sense for 10K, right?
well,
Uh,
I do agree. Like it is a weird option, but like Guff, like doesn't die early if you stick to the curve. So you don't win with Guff, right? And you can stand in the
yeah, so we don't want to
places.
pick Guff, right? Or at
Yeah, I mean,
least
I pick Guff sometimes.
I can pick a Guff, but I'm not okay. I'll put it this way:
Dude,
there's no way.
there's enough bad heroes that I'll pick everything on this
Well,
top 10 list.
there's no way it's supposed to be top 5, I guess, for me, right? Like if you look at like the top 5 heroes I'd like to pick, I'm not even close to picking the Guff at that point. So
Sure, like in terms of like
yeah,
favorite heroes, yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's like a Daryl basically, right?
Yeah, Daryl-ish, but with more option to win the game, I'd say. It's a bit
Yeah, but I
because you
mean, it
level
has
up.
that like vibe. Like I remember when we were we haven't done a round table in a long time. That reminds me.
Right,
But
yeah.
like
And
during the
assemble.
yeah, during the round table, right? You guys are like, Daryl sucks. I hate Daryl. You never win Daryl. And I'm just like, well, you know, it's a top 4 hero. Da, da, da. And you guys like, I hate it. You know, it's the same thing with Guff, right? You never win with Guff, but it's a top 4 hero. Like you pick it sometimes and you top 4 and blah blah blah. It's a
Yeah,
waste.
take your minus 15, right? And then move
Yeah,
on.
yeah. So you know, you gotta respect that. You gotta respect the consistency of being able to top 4, and
Uh,
not be eighth.
yeah.
You're
I'm not,
not
I'm
buying
not
it.
so Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like you can top 8 with anything, man.
I agree.
And
I agree. I
it,
mean with Daryl as well. Like you could
yeah,
totally.
exactly. But you're with me there that I feel like whenever I pick a hero, I need it to at least be pretty possible to take a first because I'm taking a risk anytime I pick a hero, right? Any
Yeah.
hero can top 8.
Yeah.
So I need that hero to have a reasonable chance to
Except
top
for
1 in order for
Ysera.
it to be. Yeah, yeah, okay. I would say with Ysera and because with Ysera, if you top 8, that means you just stayed low for too long. You got too low and then you got scammed in a fight or something.
Yeah, you messed
So
up. You messed
that
up.
was up to you, right? You
Yeah.
could have leveled the turn earlier,
Yeah.
right? You could have leveled the turn earlier. So, although I will say, which is incredibly sad for Jackie, but Jackie actually lost the Ysera game where there was a Varden and Jackie just couldn't roll chromas. And the Varden had like 3 golden chromas because he froze chromas and kept making more. So he was actually just consistently rolling the chromas and keeping them hostage in the tavern. It's what I assumed. I didn't see the Varden's game, but like Jackie goes up to the Varden and the Varden has like 3 golden chromas. And he's sitting there like, no shit, of course I can't find him. So even with Ysera, it's possible, but it's
And you
it's
should have leveled
extremely
earlier. You know.
yeah, it's extremely unlikely that you that happens to you, right? Like the Varden, I think the Varden just rolled like 2 or 3 chromas in one shop and just
Yeah,
farmed.
just froze. Yeah, froze.
That was an
You
anomaly.
freeze and you buy one. You freeze and you buy
Yeah,
one. Yeah.
exactly. Freeze and buy, freeze and buy, freeze and buy.
That's funny.
Let's see. As
Uh,
for other heroes,
all right,
nothing that I'm needing.
the one
Yeah,
that
go ahead.
jumps out to me is Malygos, but I understand it in the dragon
Yeah,
meta. Like, yeah,
I
you can
do.
just reroll.
Malygos is a very go-to hero for me right now.
I hate this hero, dude. I'm
Okay.
not lucky with the flips with the rerolls. I'm not I'm not lucky
All
with
right.
it. It doesn't feel good to me. But yeah, I understand why it's there, but I'm just like I don't want to play it.
What's the weird thing for me is that the Hook Tusk is below the Mally because the Hook Tusk feels like just a better Mally, right? Because like rerolling in the
Hook
shop
Tusk?
is
No, I wouldn't say so.
well, Hook Tusk is just like a master at printing chroma wings, right?
Well, it's the thing is it's hard to get like extra value with it. Yeah, and it also depends on the
So
lobby as well.
we're talking Dragons in, right? So Dragons in, and then You can have the cat in, you can have the cat out. Just doesn't matter for me. I mean, it matters in that, of course, it's better, but I'm not going to say, oh, I can't take Hook Tusk here because cat is out. Like most of my Hook Tusk dragon games go extremely well. She's super consistent in getting the double chroma, double whelp, and the triple in the shop kind of game.
You must be luckier than me.
I mean, if you hit one economy card, right? Like one Shelly, one Sally, one cat, your 5 gold turn is very clean. And then from there on, you're just re-rolling every single turn. You can also have a double tipper game on Hook Tusk. You don't always have to do a dragon game. So I'd say Hook Tusk is extremely consistent at making the dragon boards. But once again, like maybe it's a sample size thing.
I haven't
maybe
played
just
as much Hook Tusk, so maybe.
I guess I will just say, would you agree that from like at the point where Hook Tusk can discover, whereas
Mally also has other advantages, right? Like once you get the triple, you can re-roll that, right? And
I feel like that is a very small advantage given that Hook Tusk can print economy on top of things.
You with your 6s and tell me that's a small advantage.
No, I mean you get an Uther and then you hero power the Uther into a 5-drop, right? You can recycle this as well on Hook Tusk. It's not like
you have to hit the Uther, you know.
Yeah, sure, but it means that Uther is not a bad hit.
I mean, you can hit the Uther and then re-roll and hit a Dark Gaze afterwards. Like, come on. Like,
I play a lot of Mally. The amount of times where the 6 actually rolls into the thing you want is extremely
then you do
rare.
It next turn, Shady. Like that's the thing with Mally. You don't have to give up. It's not a one-hit Hook Tusk attack, and then you're like, oh, I hit that 1/6.
I guess I just like the consistency of the Hook Tusk more of the Mally. Sure, the Mally is maybe a bit more the big money hero, but I feel like you don't need big money. Like you just need to.
I mean, their win percentage is like the same. Like it's whatever. It's like 0.6 a difference.
Sure.
It's negligible. Really, so. And apparently, Hook Tusk dies more, so you can whiff harder.
With people just doing stupid shit. I think.
But
I feel like with Hook Tusk you can bait yourself into like leveling too early or doing weird shit because. Sometimes with Hook Tusk, you just need to accept, I'm going to play the Swabby, and it's going to do nothing. Right? I feel like sometimes people get Swabbies and be like, I have to level now, and they just kill themselves. Right? It's like, it's okay. This one Swabby, it's okay if it does nothing. You don't have to ruin your whole curve for this. You don't have to deny yourself a triple.
No,
who gives a shit?
I disagree. You have to make
you have to level. Like, floating a gold, it's instant top 8, man.
Yeah,
if you float a gold, instant top 8.
For sure. You're not getting first if you're floating the gold, Shady. I'm telling you.
That's really the thing people do on Hook Tusk, I feel, man. They just kill themselves because they can't stand the gold inefficiency. It's like, I'd rather level and die than float a gold. All right. Anyways, right.
Any opinion about Zerus being in the game? We can stick on that question.
Yeah, we can go back and forth. I think that's a great idea you have. Yeah, so Citra asks about Zerus. It's funny, right? Because we both saw that tweet, a bar, being like, hey, I'm Varden.
How do you know I saw it?
You made a comment. That's some true. Great deductive power.
That's true.
You replied to the tweet, Collins. That's how I know. All right. So a bar sends a tweet out like, hey, you sweaties, what do you think? I leveled 3-on-3 on Varden. My hero power copied to Zerus. What's the play here? So the rest in the shop, it's like a road board. The thing that's like most buyable is a road board. And the thing that I hate is that it's most likely the statistically correct play to buy the 2 Zerus there. Like that's on average the highest placement to buy the double Zerus.
Yeah.
And I hate that because I think Zerus is an acceptable card if it would suck more and strong players would just never buy it. Because you can still have your amazing game where you're a casual and you buy Zerus and you're like, oh my god, I was so crazy. The Zerus was a Kali and I won, right? Like, cool, have that, have your fun. I don't want that good players are buying it. And I find myself...
Make it a 4-drop.
Yeah,
and
something.
Increase the base stats.
Something where it's just...
Make it a 5/5 with a 4-drop.
I have no idea, man. Like, I don't know if doing the stats... I don't know if the stats will do anything.
It won't. Obviously, you're going to hold it in your hand. I'm just saying, like, some, you make it a 5/5, some people will play it for no reason.
That's true. Make it so that good players with tempo deserve. Yeah. No, but you get where I'm coming from, right? Like, once good players start buying Zerus, that means that you have, I think, like, a couple of days ago, on that day where I went minus 500 MMR, I take 11 damage from an Elise who is on tier 4 with 0 triples, and she has a Mithrax. And dragons aren't in. She didn't Mirrors on it. Well, she can't even get the Mirrors on because she didn't even have a triple. So it's shit like that that completely derails your game, where you make a read based on what you can see from your opponent, and then suddenly you see them having a 6-rep on tier 4, you take a bunch of damage, you made a judgment call, which in most cases would absolutely be correct, but they got a unit that they were just simply not supposed to have under any circumstance, except, oh, I bought a Zeros and it turned into a good card. So yeah, I'm definitely on the side of, I don't want this thing to be as viable as it is right now, because, I was watching because you weren't streaming, by the way, your qualifiers. I was ready. I was like, I got my popcorn. Not really, but I was just sitting there
I stream it every time and I don't make it, so I was like, oh, let me just.
I'm gonna try this approach.
Exactly.
I think given how your TICE qualifiers went, I don't blame you, right? Because you turned the stream off and you turned into a monster. So I was just, okay, I get it. He wants to make it. That's fine. Anyway, so I have to go watch someone else. So I start watching XQN. He buys a Zerus, and it turns into a fucking Eliza to turn after. And that's in Lobby Legends qualifiers. You give a player like XQN and Eliza on fucking tier 3.
I also bought a Zerus in Lobby Legends. I hate that.
Did it turn into an Eliza?
I never played it. Well, I played it at the end. Exactly. I played for a gold or something. Yeah,
you played it for a gold. So, like, giving a player of XQN's caliber in a Lobby Legends qualifier and Eliza on tier 3, the game ends, right? Then and there. It's over, right? Unless he gets massively unlucky from that point on, the game is over. Like, you're just not going to stop someone of that strength when they have an Eliza on tier 3, because it means they can just level, they buy one Scallywag, they never lose a fight, right? So, yeah, I think Zeros is really dumb for competitive play. I think it's perfect for the casual player, because a lot of those players. Yeah, but I think when you're at the mid-range
MMR, like, it's not perfect. They just don't care, or it's like, oh yeah, this could be fun, like they lose because they bought the Zeros. They don't think about that. You know what I mean? Like, and that's not okay. Like, oh yeah, I bought the Zeros and it did nothing, and I wasted my gold, and I didn't have my curve now, and I lost. But Zeros is still fun. Like, it doesn't mean it's perfect for them. It's just like they don't notice that they're losing because they buy. It's a
crowd favorite. It is a crowd favorite. You can't deny that people
don't get frustrated from Zeros. Okay, I'm with you.
I would say that it's a competitive player issue. I think if you're competitive in the game and you spend a lot of time and effort, you make a lot of reads, right? And like your reads are off due to Zeros, and that can be the end of your game, right? If you make a good read under normal circumstances, i.e. you level versus someone you think you're going to be okay, and then they just have this obscene power spike because of a Zeros, like that's an awful thing for your game. It's your game probably it's either over or you're severely handicapped at that point. So that's what I really dislike.
You're not really getting a ton of like comments like, man, I really love Zerus's back, right? You're not like they're not
but where are we supposed to see? Is that more like you don't see those comments in your chats, or where are you
Twitter,
supposed to see those?
Like any Reddit, whatever? Like, you're not getting.
My instinct was that, especially like a bit on Reddit, where Zeros was introduced that it was coming back, that it was announced that Zeros was coming back. My impression was that for the masses, it was good. Like, most people liked it, they cheered it on. But maybe I'm misremembering this. I think it's really more a high MMR player
honestly,
thing.
You could be right. If you say so. I'm not gonna.
Well, I mean, it's just when you think about it, right? It's just that kind of card. It's that kind of card where, like, it's crazy, anything could happen.
But that's when I think about it. That's not my impression. So you have to
we interpret cards in different ways, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So when you say if you think about it, I'm like, no, that's not my impression when I think about it. So that doesn't work on me. I don't get that reaction of, oh yeah. I mean, obviously you can think of what would other people think, but then again, like, my bias still seeps in, and like, well, I don't. Those people don't, they're not thinking right.
But it's similar to, let's say, this is a whole separate thing, right? But let's say a Lobby Legends tournament is announced, then a week before the patch, we have this giant reform like we had with Nagas. From a competitive player's point of view, this is ridiculous, right? Because you've practiced the whole time on a different patch, and then you get to play on another patch. Now there's layers to this. I think at least I landed on the side of it's probably required as a publicity thing, right? Because Lobby Legends is a huge investment for Blizzard. Like every time they run it, the prize pool alone is 50 grand, and then there's production, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a huge investment and it needs to pay off. So I understand, right? If they use Lobby Legends to push a new expansion or whatever, cool, whatever. I understand that if it's either that or no Lobby Legends, I'm fine with that. But from a spectator point of view, from a viewer point of view, I'd say a lot of people would enjoy that. But they say, oh, like all these people, let's say, Manted Leroy are removed in the next patch. This is completely hypothetical, most likely not the case. But I would say when their tournament rolls around, the pro players would then say, this is so silly. I've practiced the whole time with Manted and Leroy. I know the counter. Now suddenly stats are OP and I need to do all kinds of different things. Viewers would be like, yeah, finally. Now we'll see how they play when Manteds and Leroys are out. Now they're going to build big dynamic duos like we do. And they're going to like really play the game instead of just poisoning their opponent. So, yeah, I think that the things that are good for pro players are a lot of the time, not necessarily the preference of the rest of the player base or viewer base.
Sure. I don't really have too much to add to that. I'm not. Okay. I'm not in the mood to go and argue this point. But
sure. Yeah. We don't need to turn it into argument.
But I don't want to discuss this point. It's not argument per se. I don't really
feel
like I argue with you.
Sure, that's fair. Do we have any other question, or do you want to jump back on the hero list and see if there was anything?
Silas and Ticketus with prizes in. If you have a paid account, do they update the placement percentages more often? No, we just have different. I'm using top 1 in last 7 days. So that's the difference. You might be using like current patch, but the current patch was like 2 months ago, so it's so irrelevant. It's so irrelevant. So 7 days is just more accurate of a break point. I would say normally current patch is good, but anytime to introduce like a hot fix or anything like that, then it ruins all the stats. So I wouldn't rely on that, basically.
It's like you had a current patch with like a chroma hotfix with Cookie, for instance. Like that would completely throw it off.
As well as like, if you're not using paid, you don't have top 5 or top 1%. I think you only have top 20. I don't even know if you have top 20. So you do need to have a paid account.
Yeah, I think it's like top 50 and the rest.
The rest,
but I'm not sure.
Yeah, but top 50, like you gain well, I mean, you don't gain nothing.
I think it's top 50 and top 20 that you have, right?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, top 50 and 20.
Yeah. And it's not that helpful to see top 50. You get a bunch of weird players at that.
Well, it depends where you're at, right?
Yeah, I guess if you're, but it's still helpful if you don't know anything, but. If you're a leaderboard player, it may as well just be a different game. Yeah,
it's just there's so many weird things there. I will say on the top 1%, the Galley is ranked the lowest out of the heroes that are picked often enough. Is that correct?
That makes sense to me.
I guess because it's quote unquote only 10K, but Jesus, man,
top 1% is a decent amount of players.
Yeah, but I mean like. Only as in, they're only 10K MMR, which sounds so fucking stupid, right? To say like, oh, well, of course Gallywix is bad. You don't know how to play it. Because I feel like Gallywix it's up there for me. Like I have a lot.
Yeah, but it's very high rolly, I think, as well. Like I understand. Like look at the loss. I can see why the loss percentage is.
It's like a 1st and 8th curve. It's true.
Yeah, but it's like Alex Straza even.
Well, with Alex, I don't think there is.
I mean the curve wise,
sure. Pure curve wise, sure. But I'd say the Galley, you can do a lot more to prevent that top 8 than you can do with Alex. With Alex, a lot of it is like,
people just give up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like, do I triple into Nomi? Oh, I guess I'm dead.
I'm dead. Yeah, yeah. And sometimes like if you don't get like any economy, like and it feels pretty bad. Like if you get no economy, you're trying to level. Like your advantage is I got 1 gold. Like in the mid game. Like
well, your advantage as Galley is if you live, you're gonna be a monster.
yes, yeah,
right?
but you have to live first of all, and that's why
Yeah, but
people die.
you can just like you can not use your hero powers for like 6 turns and be fine if you're just like I got Tavern Tippers, I got Chroma Wings. So I think the thing is where
Yeah, but you have to get those.
yeah, but the fact that you can get those or you can get economy, to me it's egregious that Galley is at the bottom of this list because it just feels to me that people just play Gallywix so different that they don't buy Chroma Wing or they don't buy Tipper.
Well,
and
people
they hard roll
don't
for
respect Tipper as much. Like this is a very biased Tipper stream, so like you can't really say, oh yeah, everyone in top 1 is buying Tippers. That's not true at all.
I mean,
like, especially
I see it often enough.
Yeah. I mean, you see it,
not top 1, obviously, right? Because then they'd be buying them. But yeah, sure.
Yeah, especially with like Chroma Wings, like when it's like, oh, I could pick a Tipper or a Chroma, like you're not taking the Tipper. you're leading the Chroma Wing. Yeah, so
and you probably shouldn't, right?
Yeah, so it's very easy to like rationalize skipping the Tipper, even when maybe like you should take it. So I can see why it's that drastic and like Gallywix dies a lot. Like
I just don't like it, but I can understand it. I just don't like it.
They should be better. Like like whatever.
I just feel so bad to see my boy Gallywix like below a fucking AFK. Like, are you kidding me?
I think it makes sense to me. I mean, I mean, what you can look at, maybe more justifiable, is the pick rates. Like, I'd like to argue this by pick rate. What's the pick rate look like? Yeah,
47. So it's picked too often. Like people that aren't comfortable with him are picking him.
Yeah, so I mean, so it is a popular hero. Like if you look at the placements by popularity, you could say maybe Gallywix is picked too often, right?
Yeah, like Jesus. When you scroll, right, it's just like green, 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 orange, green, 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 green. It's insane, man. It's the same thing with Silas. It's a difficult hero, but a very powerful hero, right? And people pick it too often where they don't know how to play him, I guess.
Every hero in the list is playable, right? Like, because, like there's 80-something heroes, right? Do you see 80-something options here? No.
This is just where they have enough data for, right?
Yeah, like, but basically the other ones, they don't have enough data because it's not pickable.
And I think AFK is not pickable.
I think AFK is pickable. So I would disagree. And I would disagree with you.
Yeah, no.
You had that one bad game and you were like, fuck AFK. But I still think it's okay.
I actually like really, really thought it through. Now I think it's even less playable because Chroma Wing is so good.
You don't have to play it in Dragon lobbies.
Sure, but I mean that means that anytime it is a Dragon lobby, it's
but
unplayable.
Still half the lobby is playable. Like I still think that's
but I mean
hero.
I'm saying that then it is less playable, right? If like anytime Dragon's doing it's unplayable.
It's bare. Okay, it's like last. It's in the this is playable. Like but last like very low, so but still in the playable.
My point with AFK is that her whole hero power is comparable to someone that goes 3-on-3 and buys 2 3-drops.
Yeah.
Then
it's worse than Togwaggle. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously. But, let's say we have just a Silas or a Gale Wing, I think is a great example of heroes that are going to go 3-on-3. The Silas, if you've done well with the tickets and you find tickets, you actually have kind of a Gale Wing hero power.
But then again, like Silas is iffy. Like you're not guaranteed that.
Yeah, but I mean, you can still buy the 2 minions from the shop, right? So, because AFK doesn't get an extra minion, she still only gets the 2 3-drops.
Well, she gets a token, So
huge.
Say,
I mean, you get that 2. Hey, you get that 2 on Silas, right? Like you buy a Silas or something, right?
Well, the token has to have a ticket on it, so it's not guaranteed. So
not necessarily, but whatever. Sure. My point is that the redeeming qualities for AFK is that you get 2 3-drops guaranteed. You have a tiny bit of armor because you lose the first 2 rounds. So like the 7 armor or whatever you see in Hero Select, that's a lie, man. That's not 7 armor. It's like you lose the first 2 rounds.
I'm with you, Shady. Like AFK is not great, but there are some starts that are very viable, right? Like there are, and you have to give the AFK credit. There are some starts that are not like insta 8. There are some starts where you're like, okay, I can work with this.
Sure, but that can be the same thing that you can say for any time you go 3-on-3.
Yeah, and those heroes are also playable, Shady. Those heroes, no one's saying Gallywix or Gilwing is bad or Cookie's bad.
No, but let's just say any hero with a hero power after going 3-on-3. Like I'm trying to find something like a Lady Vash or a Panda.
Do we see Lady Vaj in the list? Yes. Do we see Panda in the list? Yes. They're all played. That's what I'm saying. AFK is the bottom of that.
Yeah, but I'm saying the AFK is not playable to me. I just think that the fact that you don't have a hero power anymore after buying your 2-3 drops, I think is just... Yeah, it really sunk in where I'm like, Jesus, this hero is such a steaming pile of garbage.
The chance of high rolling is enough that you'll pick it over other unplayable heroes. Is my.
I think she doesn't have enough armor for that. I will pick a Kurt over AFK in a heartbeat.
You are weird. I am not doing that. All right, like you guys in your 10th, like you're like, I need to win, and then the same sentence, I will pick.
I think I have a much higher chance of winning on Kurt than on
I'm not down with that logic.
I'll go 3-on-3 on Kurt. I'll still have the chance to high roll, and I've got a fucking hero power after that, man. Like, yeah.
You don't have a hero power with Kurt. That's the point. You don't have a hero power. That hero power does nothing. It scales horribly.
No, you get you get tempo, which allows you to then level, which allows you to then do cool shit.
I'm not buying it.
A rat pack is a house, blah, blah, whatever. It doesn't matter. Yeah, sure. I will just continue to not pick AFK, and you can occasionally high roll your AFKs.
Thank you. That's all I'm asking for.
Whatever. Good old ranting. Perfect.
But yeah, I mean, there's not too many heroes here that I think are like super weird, right? Like it makes sense just because like all the heroes here are like playable in some fashion. They're not like all the same strength and whatnot, but they're all playable in some fashion. So it kind of makes sense. Scabs being the third most popular is kind of interesting. People like stealing other people's stuff.
Is that interesting in what regard? Is that like is that you not picking Scabs very often?
No. I am with them. I steal people's stuff as well, but like it's just funny, like because the first two I don't think you can argue, right? And then the next one is like this isn't like unique enough to be like, oh yeah, this deserves the third place spot. Like 100%, it's always the Scabs here. No, like I wouldn't say that. Yeah, strong. But I think lots of other heroes could be in third place and be like, oh yeah, that makes like Cookie could be third. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Like Master Win is super popular.
I don't think Cookie is that good right now.
I think it's okay.
My problem with Cookie is that you can't eat dragons because you got to buy them. Right, so like the whole point with Cookie and this meta is like, oh, I can force a dragon. It's like, no,
dragons are in half the lobby, shitty. Like you make it sound like dragons are in every lobby. They're not.
Yeah, but I mean, you're going off pick rate.
Yeah,
which means that Scabs in dragon lobbies is still very, very, very good.
Yeah,
whereas Cookie would not be.
Well, Cookie is still good. Like maybe like you don't have to force dragons every game. Like sometimes you'll see games where dragons are in and like one person got it right and the other 7 didn't, right? I don't know. Okay, you're looking at me like
that's probably wrong by a lot of the 7 players, but
well, I mean it depends on like not everyone's getting heroes where they can like do the
but that's my point exactly. Is that Cookie can't do that, right? Or doesn't want to do that. Cookie still wants to go 3-on-3.
Yeah, and it's still fine. You know,
but you're saying that Cookie could take the place of Scabs because in half the lobbies dragons aren't in. I'm saying it makes a lot of sense that Scabs.
I'm saying like theoretically, I wouldn't be surprised if Cookie was third.
And I would be because you'd pick Scabs in the dragon lobbies and Cookie not so much. Right? That's my point.
Fine, whatever.
Doesn't that make sense? Like,
yeah, it makes sense, but like whatever. I'm just saying like. I don't see a reason why Scabs is like guaranteed the number 3 spot. Is all I'm saying. Like I think other heroes could
Sure.
take.
I mean, there might be a hero over that. So, is there any personal favorite you'd be like, you know what? I'll put that third over Scabs.
No, I don't. I'm not really a personal favorite type of player. Right? You've asked me like, oh, what's your favorite? What heroes do you like? And I was like, none.
Well, it's I guess it's just personal, just experience then, right? Like this is
I
what
played
I've
a ton
been
of
doing.
Yogg, but would I put Yogg
All
here?
right,
I don't
y'all
know.
on the third place.
No, I
There we
wouldn't.
go.
Like it doesn't make sense. Like it's never been that popular of a hero.
No, but you've played games in this meta, right?
Wait,
And
is
you've
Yogg
probably
even on the list? It's not even on the list
no,
yet.
no.
Yeah,
So
that's
can
criminal.
AFK get some shit right now? There's AFK on the list that not Yogg.
No, I understand. No one seems to like Yogg, like, except for me. I don't know. I get it. Like they just don't understand chat. Kick.
Is there any? Okay, so I guess I will just tell you about my heroes, and then we can go on there because I'm gonna ask like, is there any heroes? God's like, no heroes, no nothing, no special experience.
No.
I'd say Maiev, in terms of
Sure.
average placement, can move up a lot. I think she's very, very powerful, but she tends to get those bottom 8 games.
Yeah, she has a slight risk, which is the issue.
She has a risk to it, I think, if you're unwilling or unable to change your curve and change, like, oh, instead of a buy and a hero power, I just have to roll here because I don't have the triple, or I'm going to take rocking and rolling here to then get the triple, etc. So I think Maiev is still really, really consistent as long as you're willing to take a small little detour if the triple isn't just being handed to you.
Let me tell you about top 1 players. They don't do that.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get that nuance in these lists.
Well, no. that's what I'm saying. So I'm talking about my own heroes, right?
Okay.
By the way, thank you, Housewife, for the raid. Welcome. Thank you. So from my own experience, the Maiev needs to move up a ton. Because I feel like Maiev, for me, it's extremely likely you're going to have a top 1 game because she's such a good hero to put you in a position to win, right? She gives you such a good chance with how cleanly she goes to 5 and puts you in a good position. I'd say not necessarily something that would need to move up. No, probably move up a bit. Is Eudora for me. Just because of how good or how well she works with staying on 1 with a dragon and then being able to delay the dig for a 6 drop. I think that's something I've been doing a lot, and a lot of my Eudora games have been just decent, where this is now a hero that I'm not really afraid to pick. You start off with any kind of tempo, and then you can take a 6 quite easily. And then sometimes the 5 drop is actually also up to 5 drop, right? The golden minion is also playable, and then it's like, wow, that's insane.
Yeah, I mean, it's better in dragon lobbies, right? Like once again, like everything you're talking about is like with the notion of dragons in, and like that's half the lobbies, right? So some of these heroes get like noticeably worse, right, when they don't have that option of like I can high roll dragon start, and Eudora is one of those. Like if you don't have that dragon option, it's not as good. And then also like you can whiff on both things. You can whiff on the 6, you can whiff on the triple.
Yeah, but you can whiff with any hero.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying like it's baked into the hero, where the chance to whiff is very, very much there. But you can also, I mean, it's not a bad hero. And
yeah,
like the real high roll, right? I do agree. Is like when you have the triple as well, and then you get the dig, and then you like it's like double 6. And
I've very rarely been getting the triple from the minions. Well, maybe not very rarely, but it's my good Eudora games. It's not been a requirement.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying like that is the Eudora high roll. Like you do get the triple, and then you
get the triple, you get the golden, you get the double 6 drop. You do make a point, right, where you say, well, dragon lobbies are only half the lobbies. For me, a lot of the time when I don't see dragons in the lobby, I have a lot more fun picking heroes that go to 2, go to 3.
Yeah.
Where let's say a Phelan or so. I think a Phelan is a huge winner in the no dragon lobbies because Phelan's got to go to 2, right? Phelan just can't.
You don't have to, but you're probably doing something wrong.
Yeah. It was very advisable to go to 2 on 2 for Phelan. Yeah. So I think Phelan is a massive winner in no dragon lobbies because you actually feel good about going to 2. And there's a lot of people that maybe are so conditioned to the chroma stuff that you get to punish that, right? Because you get your hero power and you get to utilize it nicely. Someone like Galewing, of course, right? With the 3-on-3.
There's another section that I want to talk about.
Sure.
Like, so we're already like nearing an hour. I thought this was going to be a short one.
Well, these are actually my favorites because we're actually doing a lot of talking about the game. I think when we're doing other podcasts, there's sort of just topics fed to us, or like, we'll give our opinion on this, we'll give our opinion on that. But I think we can actually do some like meta deep diving. But it's okay. I've had my fix. I've ranted about AFK.
We're going to talk more about meta. Like, we're not done here.
Go to the next section.
But something we haven't really talked about particularly that I did want to mention is just like the prizes, right? Like, there's also a section for prizes, and I thought this was interesting.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's cool
to think about because we don't really go over like prizes and like how they influence the game, but the prizes really do influence the game in a big way. Prize lobbies are very different.
Where do you filter for that?
So there's like at the top there's like heroes. Prizes. This might be
Dark prizes.
Okay, so you can't see that, yeah. So
I can't see it,
yeah. You can see like average placement, base, and pick rate. I think those are like the two things to talk about because average placement doesn't necessarily mean this is the best and this is the worst, right? But pick rate I think is more of an indicator in prizes because it's like what are people prioritizing? Why are they prioritizing this? And does it actually make sense? Like sometimes you can use the pick rate to kind of that. So I want to talk about some of the prizes. I would say like the tier 1 and the tier 2 prizes are more of the deciders. Like if you can make it to the tier 3 prizes, you're probably fine. And if you make it to tier 4 prizes, it's almost guaranteed top 3, I would say. So a lot of times like you have your comp, it's decided, and sometimes the tier 4 prizes can swing things, but a lot of times like who's gonna win.
It's mainly the turn 8 prizes, right?
Yeah,
those are the big ones.
But I think the turn 4 prizes also.
Because they pop up every time. You're not dead for a turn 4 prize, so you get to play a turn 4 prize every game.
The like when you look at this, like the weirdest thing that jumps out to me is like new recruit has the highest average placement, but I think I also know why. But isn't that weird? Like new recruit, like I wouldn't have guessed that personally.
I would not have guessed that either, but it makes a lot of sense when you think about it.
Why does it make sense to you?
Well, every Togwaggle picks new recruit. And Togwaggle wins a lot of games.
There it is. That is the reason.
So, I think if we could filter Togwaggle out, this thing is going to plummet.
So this is how stats can absolutely lie to you, right? Like right there, right? You look at this, you look at this, and you're like, oh. I've been throwing all my games. I never pick new recruit. It has a 26% pick rate, and it has the highest average placement. Let me always take that. And you're just chain losing your games. You're skipping pocket change gotcha gift because you're like, oh, it's the highest win rate. No, you dummy. It's Togwaggle taking that every time. And Togwaggle with this is so strong. It's so broken, and it makes a ton of sense.
I will say that there is some small cases. Like, for instance, what I was alluding to earlier about the Maev, where I pick new recruit a fair amount on Maev, sometimes because I really need to hit that triple and need to fix it.
You're not skipping gotcha gift or pocket change for it.
Well, gotcha gift, I think, has a higher chance of setting you up, but sometimes...
new recruit is basically like... Pocket change is like roll twice.
Well, 1 second, Collins.
Okay, but 26% pick rate doesn't mean it's only Togwaggle picking it, right? So it does get picked in a decent amount, like because there are some prizes with like 16%, 38% pick rate because you're not always going to see pocket change gotcha gift. I think those two are like clearly top 2 in terms of like what they do for you, especially. Though the weird thing, I can see why pocket change is worse than gotcha gift, by the way, just because like you could say like pocket change is like very similar, but gotcha gift gives you tempo, and that heals you. Like if you heal for 5 because you played an extra minion, like that's gonna be
and triple potential, right? Yeah. Triple potential as well. That's huge.
Yeah, so I would say by far gotcha gift's the best. You can look at this and you have like good stuff has a higher pick rate and stuff like that, but a lot of times like I mean higher placement. But when you look at the pick rate, 4%, like least percent pick card, like even if it has the highest placement, doesn't mean anything. Like no one's really picking it because they want to. They just pick it and they happen to be good players and they just do well. So I wouldn't like look at that. It's really just gotcha gift pocket changes or really like the kings of the tier 1 prizes, and then like new recruits of Togwaggle scam.
I will say Rockin' and Rolling
is okay.
I have picked this consistently over gotcha gift and pocket change with going 3-on-3. This prize is amazing.
Okay.
Right?
Well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even on Togwaggle, right? You're like you go 3-on-3 on Togwaggle and you just get the browse. That's amazing, man. Like so I will say Rockin' and Rolling, I've got a lot more respect for this prize than the previous prize iteration, probably because there's more 3-on-3 going on. Also, sometimes this is just exactly what you need to get your triple on tier 1. I've picked it over pocket change sometimes because I'm just like, well, I don't need the money and I just need the triple. So
I think it's the clear third place prize. Yeah. So I'm
sometimes it's the best one. Sometimes it's the best one for me, where I say like, I don't want anything else, so just take the Rolling.
That's fair. That's fair. I think that's a good distinction you've made there. That one can have its upsides over the other two, so it makes sense.
Okay, Tourney.
Yeah, we can go. Like these don't really matter that much per se, but it's fun to talk about. Yeah.
The new recruit thing is great to point out, right? Be like, oh, Togwaggle picks this. And obviously Togwaggle picks this because you get an extra minion every time you hero power, which is amazing.
It's so stupid, yeah. All right, so here we have the Tourney Prizes, which I think are the most important prizes. Like, you could really just look at these prizes and nothing else and just, like, figure out how to play these prizes and you're fine. Like, turn 12 prizes doesn't really impact the game. Turn 16 like almost rarely impacts the game. So these are the ones you need to focus on. Make sure you're lucky, I guess, because I would say all these prizes are not created equal. Like they're not balanced at all.
That's a good assessment, Collins. I share that assessment.
And I find that very annoying that they don't balance the prizes. Like it's the same thing last time, right? They had these unbroken prizes and they never balanced it. And like here, they did some buffs to the prizes, but then it's been like a month or and a half and nothing. So they just don't take the data because, like, obviously you look at the data and you're like, oh, these are horrible compared to these ones. Like, there's no way you're getting balanced results from these prizes. So it's just sad that they put out the prize and then they're like my hands are tied. I can't balance them anymore. It's too much effort or so. But yeah, if you just look at these stats here, like the one that jumps out to you for me is the yellow one. Is the one with the yellow. That's the one that jumps out to me. Like, oh, this one is like statistically so much worse than the others because the other ones are not yellow.
Right.
But
I think it's more maybe a mindset thing where I feel like Gruul should really be down there as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Because so I'm still just a rat in a cage. I think has some uses on the Flectos and stuff when you just missed and you're like, all right, fuck this.
Never pick it.
This work. Yeah. I've picked it for like cleave or shield,
and you can like flip it.
Yeah, and you just hit like a garbage selection, right?
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay, I'm just gonna have to go with this in tempo. So, but Gruul I think should be down there with Bouncer. It's just picked 10% of the time, so I guess maybe
you could argue that like if you survive 3 turns, it's better, right? Like,
yeah. But I think you just never want to pick it.
Yeah, I mean it's picked less than Bouncer.
Yeah,
so you can say, oh, it's no one wants to pick it. It's picked less than Bouncer, but you could argue like it has a better win rate because you're likely to survive more than 3 turns, maybe. So yep. I can see it.
So maybe I guess your point is you don't pick Bouncer if you're in a good spot.
You don't,
and you pick Gruul if you're in a good spot, right? So
I would say you pick neither.
Well, for your once again for more like the average, the I guess starting at 10K, right, where it's maybe a little bit more conceivable that people just haven't realized just how bad Gruul is. But anyways, whatever.
Yeah, the thing about scaling spells and scaling like hero powers and stuff, they once you like late game units scale so much harder than
Yeah,
any
you do not
spell or
notice
hero
that there's a
power.
Gruul
Yeah,
on something.
yeah,
Just
you
look at it this way, right? Like Gruul, because this you're halfway to the next tier of prizes by the time Gruul is better than Bouncer, right? No, as good. Like you're 3/4 of the way over by the time Gruul is better than Bouncer, which is insane.
know.
Like
Sometimes the
you're
taunt
almost
is
there.
the one
Yeah,
thing I've done with the bouncers, like put it on what's that one card called? That one card that does that one thing. You know what I'm talking about.
Buster, Goldrin, something like that,
No,
or a Taunt and Shield.
it's a trickster. Come on.
Trickster, right? Yeah, Trickster.
Yeah,
I mean, it's things you want. List on things you want to die. Those are on
yeah,
there.
yeah, and that has been okay for me, but obviously the guy don't want it.
Yeah.
We've kind of been
So
avoiding the good ones.
let's go to the ones that matter, right? we talked about the shitty ones.
Yeah.
When you said the one that jumped out, I thought you were going to talk about the coin. How the coin is because the top three are Great Deal, Coin, and On the House in terms of win rate, and Coin and On the House are tied.
Yeah.
But still, Coin and On the House being tied is ridiculous, right? Because like 1 gold a turn or discovering a minion for current tavern tier, it's not really comparable.
Yeah, I wonder if this is like Togwaggle. Like no, I wonder like what is there like a reason why it's like.
I think it's maybe a popularity type thing where people are conditioned to see house, pick house, and with the coin, maybe it's more of a well, at least this is a gold. I'm not picking that bouncer shit. I'm not picking that Gruul rules shit.
But I
I'm
don't
not
think it's a
picking the
bad
Justified.
one, honestly.
Yeah, it's not comparable to On the House, right? We're there.
I mean, apparently it is.
Okay,
Apparently
so
it is shitty, but
okay, so when is the last time you've picked
there's
unlimited coin?
never.
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 Exactly. So not comparable. Not comparable. Like if you have literally never picked a card over the other card, then they're not comparable.
I'm saying statistically,
Yeah,
this is how stats lie to you, by the way. Once again, right? You look at this, you're like, oh well, it's a flip. It depends on the situation whether I'll take On the House or Coin, and it's just like no, it doesn't. Get your house.
It is extremely. I don't know statistically if there is ever actually a spot where you're supposed to take Coin over On the House. I'm not sure if I can find one.
Maybe you're like Tavern 3 or something, right? Like you're still for some reason
on tier 3. You're Daryl or something.
Yeah.
You're Daryl.
Yeah.
Or something. Yeah, maybe then. The other one is you somehow already have a bunch of like Atissas or whatever, but then you still just take On the House.
Yeah, if you have a bunch of Atissas, you want
just take
the
an
one,
right?
yeah.
Well, the thing is, like, a coin every turn is pretty sexy, right? When you have a bunch of Atissas.
With Atissas. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, that's true.
Right, but then again, don't you just On the House for an Orgazoa?
I don't know, like... the coin is kind of like on the Orgazoa.
The thing is, like, and how do you get a bunch of Atissas by turn 8? It's so unlikely. Like, you gotta be Shutterwalk, right? But the Shutterwalk doesn't do the
not
Shutterwalk
anymore. Yeah.
Well, Shutterwalk-esque, right? It needs to be Shutterwalk-esque proportions.
Maybe Barov or something.
Yeah, Barov in a massive high roll. Either way, it's just funny. But yeah, great deal with the highest pick rate, highest win rate. And I think here that makes so much sense.
Anytime something has highest pick rate, highest win rate, it's just like it's broken. Like fix that.
Yeah, so good.
Like you can't have that. Like this is the best, and it's picked every time.
Is that always the case that it's broken?
Maybe not always, but like it's an indicator. It's an indicator that you need to look at this. Like look at this. Like it's right there. It's staring at your face. Like for sure.
So the my theory here as well is that the reason why it gets that push over On the House is that Great Deal is very, very likely to push you to 6, or at the very, very, very least to push you to 5. And I think what we see a lot in games where people are doing poorly, it's that they stay on a low tavern tier too long for no reason. Now, some games, like let's say you're a Starfang on tier 4, or you're playing a complete Shaker comp and there's not much reason to go to 5, then sure. But a lot of the time, you need to sneak in that level in order to get a big enough swing, especially if we're talking a prize lobby, right? In a prize lobby, you need to level because bunkering down in a prize lobby does not work. Your shell will get cracked. Yeah, you need a big spike. Yeah. If you do not get a big, if you do not get a big spike in a prize lobby, you will take 15 into 15 and just die.
And that's why not getting great deal or on the house feels really bad, because everyone else is looking for those. Like the pick rates they're basically picked every time it's offered, 75, 80%. Like they're picked every time they're offered. And if you don't get those hits, right, you're struggling, right? They're power spiking super hard and you're not, right? So you're trying to stabilize, but there's no stabilization when everyone spikes that hard and you just die. So the prize games really kind of become determined of who can you hit this, and then if you hit this, okay, now you have a chance to play. And if you don't hit this, everyone else did, and you're dying. So
not everyone else, but
like 25% didn't, right? Essentially, according to this, right? So 2 people didn't, and 6 people did, and you're dying to the 6.
The thing is, if you are not high rolling and you whiff on your prize, you're lucky to top 4, right? You are just going very, very...
You're lucky to top 6.
Play beast. Well, I don't think we ever aim for top 6, right? So that's whatever.
True, I agree. But...
Like you just, I think because the people that hit the right prize, they might still go too hard and die, right? That can still happen. Like I have had great deal and still died. I've had all that. It's rare, but it happens. So at least when you hit the shitty prize, you're not going to go to 6. You're going to like, okay, let me just buy the mama bear. Let me get the crocodile, get the reborn and shit. And you're just like, all right, I'm just not going to take damage for a while. Because I'd say like mama bear, that's not really bunkering down, or that's like
Mama is the great equalizer. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
The bridge between the 5 and the 6.
That's your... that's a whole fortress, right? It's not a bunker anymore. Mama's a fortress, right? It's like you can hold out in that fortress for a long time, until top 2 sometimes. It's a very comfortable fortress. So, yeah, it's unlikely to win you the game, but it's very good at keeping you alive.
Yeah. Would it help if great deal was 5 gold and you need to pay a gold for on the house? So basically, like, you think those are big enough nerfs? So great deal is reduced by 5. Maybe that helps a bit, right? But it's still gonna be pickable. Like that's the thing, right? Like the thing about these spells is they are distinct, right? They do something unique that the other spells can't really copy. So even if you nerf them slightly, they still get picked, right? Like there is gonna be a word where you nerf them enough and like it's not that good. Like reduce your tavern cost by 3. It's like...
And I'm also not sure if a nerf is the answer. I think prize lobbies, like I am behind the concept of prize lobbies are crazy and explosive and you gotta really, really be ambitious. I think I would just enjoy if other prizes were, worth picking more, right? So if there was a bigger buff to them, or if we could just design prizes more alongside the high roll thing where, I don't know, maybe a prize just gives you a bunch of coins, right, from the get-go instead of the unlimited coins, so it can keep up with that. This is purely off the top of my head. I'm not saying this is balanced, but something that is more in line with on the house great deal, something that gives you that immediate.
All right, yeah. Brand's blessing your battle cry trigger 3 times. Bouncer, give your minion plus 15 and taunt. On the house, give your minion 10 attack and double its health, and then give 10 health. The double attack and give 10 health.
Right.
Just like, on the unlimited coin, gain 2 gold this turn. Instead of one, just like crazy. Time Thief discovered 2 minions from your last. Like you just make them all broken. Rose plus 4 plus 4. That's the
cool thing, right? You essentially just you grab the bazooka here and be like, all right, everything's just getting just insane, right? Like we're just gonna make everything insane. How many times would we still take on the house or great deal when we double the efficiency of the other cards?
It would drop.
Yeah, but okay, so I'm not sure if I'm on board with your like, all right, double the attack, then give it 10 health or whatever, some crazy shit. But I think a fair amount of the buffs you suggested, I'm still taking great deal, which I think shows just how fucking stupid
But you would
it is.
think about it.
You could think about it more
Yeah,
and it'd be
and then
more. Yeah, sure,
that's all I want. I want this to drop down to like maybe
sure.
under 50 or something.
That's fair. All right. So TLDR, great deal on the house or good. All right.
Everything
Something
else
you
is
didn't
kind of
know yet.
like Evolving Tavern is like pretending to be on the house. You know what I mean? Like it's the one where you're like, maybe I hit something. Because I have had those situations where I don't get the hit and I take Tavern
Yeah.
and then I get a good 6 and like, okay, I'm back in the game basically. But the problem is
Yeah.
it has a very low win rate because if you whiff, you're dead, right? You spend your turn on
Evo
5 rolling and then you try to hit something and you
Evo is so annoying because you you essentially can't start your turn until you've rolled at least 2 5 drops in one shop.
yeah.
And even then, like you can't really buy like sometimes you might roll some 5 drops that you want and then you buy them and then the Evo is still in your hand and
Yeah.
then you haven't had anything.
Yeah.
So
I try not to do that for sure.
there's just so many cases where an evolving tavern and then like there is no guarantee at all where you roll your 2 or even 3 5 drop shop.
Mm-hmm.
I've had so many Evos in the past where I'm just like, well, this is all just unplayable. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, Zabnadina.
Didn't
Like,
get
what
a
do you do?
prize, right?
Yeah.
So I tend to not really pick it anymore. I'm just Evo has been too annoying for me where I would have played better if I didn't have it.
Okay.
So for me, it feels too
Yeah.
much like a bait where I'm
Well,
just rolling.
the problem is like I'm in situations where I have no other options. Yeah, none of
Right,
the other
right.
prizes do anything,
So
and I'm just
I've
like, well,
been
I have to take something that gives me a chance.
I get that. I get that. I have been time thieving more, and obviously that's one you would probably pick over Evo. Even when my opponent didn't have anything, right? Because then the cool thing about a prize lobby is the next guy will have something.
The next guy will have
So
something.
yeah, so I've been holding time thief a bit more, and I think I might even take a coin over an Evo
Yeah,
and
I
just
can see coin. I haven't been holding time thief, so maybe that's something I'll look at.
right. That's something you can do, right? Because it's very likely in a prize lobby that
The next
even if
guy
it
will have
wasn't,
it. Yeah, you
yeah.
just take the damage and then you'll see if you can rotate.
Mhm.
That makes sense.
And you can spend your turn still getting stronger. You don't necessarily even take the damage because they went to 6 on the house, right?
Yeah.
6 on the house, and you're rolling on 5, getting stronger. So you don't always take the damage, and then you take your 6. So yeah, it can be good.
It's not guaranteed to get the 6, right?
No, no,
You
no,
could
no. You
still
can
whiff.
whiff,
Yeah,
right?
so
You
yeah.
can whiff,
But it is something to look at for sure.
yeah, more chance than Evo in my experience.
Yeah, because I guess that with Time Thief, you can look at your previous opponent, then you can look at the opponent you're going to fight,
Yeah,
and
you
then
can
make your
see what's
decision.
the
So that
likelihood.
is very good. That I've not been looking at my opponent I'm going to fight and seeing, oh, will I get something good? So
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah,
good point you've made.
my last time thief stole an elder from my previous opponent, right? So my previous opponent high rolled and got an elder before the prize turn. I was like, yoink. So that was very, very good. So
Nice.
I have some good memories from time thief, but obviously this can whiff, right? Sometimes
Yeah.
they don't have it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, turn 12.
Oh yeah, right. There's more prize. I've really like done. You hit the turn 8, we're done. But sure,
Well, the only thing I really want to point out here
this
is
ice
that
block is broken.
well, in more than 11% of the cases, people aren't taking ice block. Right?
Oh,
I'm just like,
pick rate is if it shows up.
yeah.
Oh, I've okay. So I do that. I skip ice block, and I'll tell you why. Because ice block to me is I'm playing to top 2. You know what I mean? And if I'm gonna win, I'm not playing a top 2. I'm not ice blocking. I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna take something else. You know. So
I would say that in your position, usually with your boards, with how much you're scaling, an ice block gives you the freedom to just get that massive scaling on, which I think does better than a lot of the
but
other
sometimes I'm like 30 HP, and I'm just like I'm not dying. I'm not. I'm going to get strong. I'm gonna take the other stuff. Like I'm going to kill you even harder. I'm not dying. I just have confidence in myself that I don't need an ice block to win the game, and I'll take something else. So I can see.
I still I still think with how combat works in this game and how you can get scammed and how an extra fight is so beneficial.
80% of the time, Shady, I'm taking Ice Block. I'm with you. I'm
just saying it's higher than 80%.
I'm saying I have skipped Ice Block, and that would be my rationale.
So my take on that is I will only skip an Ice Block if I am in a position where I know I will not outscale my opponent, and we're already down to a top 2 or a top 3.
That happens too. I mean, that happens too.
Yeah.
Where I'm looking and I'm like, I'm not gonna. If I take Ice Block, I always lose. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
If I take something else, I might have a chance. And sometimes,
but it is so rare that the game has progressed so far, so fast.
18% of the time, Shady. I'm in. If Ice Block shows up, maybe.
Oh right, I'm doing my math is terrible here. So yeah. Whatever. You get what I mean. There's people who don't pick Ice Block, and it's kind of understandable, but I think the percentage is still too low.
It might be too high. I do agree, but I can see it. I can see it, and I've skipped it before too. So I definitely see it for sure.
All right, and
but it's interesting. Yeah. Nothing else matters.
Yeah.
The other options, they really don't matter at all. They're all the same win rate, realistically.
Well, I think it's cool to see the training session, right? If you see on the average placement, it's got the lowest, but still a 31% pick rate. So it's almost like people can't help themselves, right? I think a lot of the time,
I mean, it's a flip, right? You're playing Xeris. It's basically Xeris.
I don't think it's a flip. I think that the chance that you get something good is lower than 50%.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, it's a bad flip. It's a weighted.
So,
flip.
Yeah, but when you say flip, it's usually like I flip a coin, right? It's either heads or tails.
Sure.
Right.
I don't do that, but that makes sense.
Right. So I think that's how most people use it.
It's a dice roll.
You roll the die, and there's 5 bad sides and 1 good side, right? And what if I hit the good side? Yeah. So I think something that happens, it's on my stream as well sometimes, where let's say I'm playing a Crag or something, my hero power is just dead, gone.
Yeah.
I think whenever training session shows up, it's just an automatic for a lot of chapters. Of course we pick training session. We don't have a hero power right now. It's so obvious.
I do that too. I'm those folks. I don't have a hero power. I'm training session. That's me.
There's a shield right next to it, Collins. Right?
Oh no! You always take shield.
Yeah, exactly, right? But but then chat is but what if you hit George? You can just shield. It's what if I don't hit George, right? So, yeah, my point is that people will skip good prizes for training session if they don't have a hero. So they just get baited by the fact that their hero power is done, right? So let's say they're playing Zephyrus, they've used all their wishes, they're playing Crag, they're playing whatever, and they're just well, it's obviously training session because I don't have a hero power right now. And it's well, you could just waste your turn 12 prize, buddy. And your turn 12 prize, some of them are maybe not insane, but they still do a lot. Even repeat customer, when you're playing Quillboard and you bounce a Necrolite, that's so good.
I saw XQN take repeat, and I was why is he doing that? And it took me a minute for me to be oh, I'm an idiot. He was playing Quill. I was what am I? I was I'm tired. I was I'm tired or something because I was
it's so funny where I had a Necrolite and I'm just this is insane, man. Repeat customer is the best prize for me.
Yeah.
So all right. Anyways, I mean, we can look at the 16s just for a crack at it.
For fun, yeah. But we will say Mind Flay Goggles is respectable, and By the Holy Light. I think if you don't get Ice Block, those two are the respectable ones. Banana in some circumstances, especially in Banana with Naga's OP, probably the best one. Peggy and Atissa, bro.
Golden Peggy with bananas is that's right. It's so good.
So those are the 3 I would give some credit to, and the other 4 repeat customer in Quillboards, yes, and then the other 4 are kind of hard. I have done all that glitters. I was playing Galawix, right? And I just bought the whole shop. Yeah.
Or glitters Togwaggle, right? You buy it all golden.
Oh yeah, that can also work. So there are some edge, but those are fringe cases, so I wouldn't put them in the spotlight. But moving on to turn 16 prizes. Usually if you're here, you're kind of
you're top 2 material.
Yeah.
Statistically top 2 material, right? Because the lowest win rate is 1.69, so yeah, we're top 2 by now.
Yeah, nothing here jumps out to me as particularly good. The highest win rate is the bragger, but you have to be playing a scaling comp, right, for
Yeah,
you to utilize it.
I think it's because people only pick it if they're huge, and when you're
Yeah,
huge, you're likely to win anyway.
yeah. So
So I think Braggart having the highest win rate is not
it's a fake. Yeah, it
surprising.
doesn't
Yeah.
really matter. Big winner, funny, it has the highest pick rate, but I think like people are just like looking for ice block. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. No.
uh,
Which, funny enough, at that point, probably doesn't matter as much
as,
anymore because you're already in the top two anyway,
yeah,
or top three.
yeah. But maybe you're thinking, oh, I'll maybe outscale or something. Like I
I
can
mean, I
see
pick
it.
Big Winner a lot myself, and I just don't need the others.
Yeah,
For me, Big Winner is like I don't want the others, so I'll just
yeah.
take
I
Big.
guess that's fair.
Yeah.
Why have one bad choice when you can have three bad
Well,
choices?
you get
Like,
a
I don't know.
so I'll do Big Winner. Let's say I'm playing like Scam Comp or something, right? I'm playing Eliza Exodia, and I'll be like, well, you get like 3 rolls from the first
Yeah, yeah.
prize, and blah blah blah. You get some extra money. You get to roll for your Baron. So, but I'd say one of the like really powerhouses here is Raise the Stakes,
Yeah, I
which
would
is
say
kind
so
of
too.
it's crazy to me that it's the second lowest, right? When it comes to
Uh,
placement.
well, I think it's also kind of hard to use because like I think the easiest one is like, but I don't think people do it. Like just make a
Selfless, right?
selfless, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
but
People aren't doing it.
yeah,
Yeah, they throw it on their dark gaze when they're top two. They make their dark gaze
yeah.
golden at scale. Yeah. No, I
That's
hear you. I hear you. Yeah,
so I
that's
do think
probably not the right use of this prize. Yeah.
yeah, I do think it's really good in combo, right? So making your Eliza, making your Baron, making your Goldrin, that kind of whatever your combo piece, Golden really good. Also really good to like just hit a selfless and then make a Golden selfless and then
Selfless.
that.
The big one, like you mentioned, combo. It's Baron, right?
Yeah.
Oh my god, this on a Baron. If you're playing any kind of Baron comp, beautiful.
Yeah, but I mean, if you already
So
have a Golden Baron, is what I'm saying. Hey,
then you're doing really well.
Goldrin
Yeah.
is fine. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah,
that's true. Like you have to be a little bit creative with it. You have to be able to look further than what's on your board right now. You have to project a little bit. Okay, what could I roll? What does my opponent have? Is there any golden? Like for instance, making a golden blaster could be really good against what your opponent has, etc. So yeah, there's all kinds of shit that could happen.
it is picked pretty highly, right? 46%
Yeah,
is like quite high. So there's a lot of
it's
respect for the card. Maybe like the execution sometimes could
yeah.
work, but
I think like we mentioned earlier, it gets probably used a little bit too much on something they already have on their board and just make it golden.
yeah.
Like I said, I think the Dark Gaze is a perfect example where you're going into your last fight. This is not the time to make a golden Dark Gaze. Like it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
this reminds me. I had like Callie, and I was it was like second to last fight, and there was another Callie, and I was like, I'll buy it. I'm just like, I kept it in my hand the whole game. Like I was like,
Yeah, you couldn't afford to play it.
yeah,
Actually.
I was just like, what am I doing? Yeah. I think I sold it for a gold actually. The
But
last
that's
time.
not a Lobby Legends pick, right? In Lobby Legends, we don't buy that Cali.
That it was dumb either way. Like either way, it was
Yeah,
dumb.
I
Like,
mean, if you're streaming, like sometimes I do that. I'll be like, sometimes actually when I'm streaming, I pick training session quite a lot. If I just let's say I'm playing on an A, I pick a lot of training session for chats, right?
yeah,
So that does affect my decision making.
yeah, for
Sometimes I
sure.
will make a lower win rate call just because sometimes you do get the George, you do get the Zephyrus or something silly, right?
Yeah.
Alec here, right? Late game, very good. Even Illidan, I've had an Illidan. You kill Mantis Queens before they adapt with Illidan. Really dumb. You
Annoying.
put it because the thing is, like, people taunt their Mantis Queens. So you actually you put a Divine Shield in the front when you roll the Illidan hero power. God forbid you ever play an Illidan to make it the top 4. That's probably not as likely as re-rolling a training session Illidan. You could actually ram a Divine Shield into a taunted Mantis Queen before it can adapt Divine Shield. It's so stupid. So yeah, that's really
Yeah,
nasty.
not a fan of that interaction as well as the Whelp one, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, Illidan needs something, right?
yeah,
Because
sure.
that's probably the only reason I can think of to play Illidan right now, like Macaw and the fact that you can dunk Mantis Queens. So yeah.
Yeah,
Very niche, borderline useless information, but there you go, guys. If you ever have the Illidan hero power, you can destroy a taunted Mantis Queen before it can adapt shield.
man, this Scabs training session into Alec here, and he had like golden golden macaw, golden baron, golden golem.
Oh my god!
And I was just like
that's
not happy
so
with
many.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, you do have the high rolls, which is why people pick the card, right? They remember the high rolls. They don't remember the Maev, I guess. Maybe nah, probably not Maev. AFK. God, no, you don't. You wouldn't get AFK, but you get something like your Max F +1/+1 or some, some unplayable garbage that gets offered. So. All right. Anyways, I think we've sort of covered
Yeah,
the
we're
tier.
done.
It just was for fun, right? To
This
look
was
at
a lot
those.
longer than I thought it was gonna be. Once again, like every time,
Yeah,
I'm tired
we
of it,
we
JD.
can we play this game. We play this game too much to not be able to get lost in a conversation. Because honestly, we could go on for several hours here. I'd say just meta talk and me just bringing up shit and you saying, "Shady, that's crazy. What's
That's
you talking
crazy,
about?"
Shady. What are you
Yeah,
talking about?
exactly. Right. But we'll save that for the next one. Just in case not much has happened by then.
Yeah, hopefully next week has some patch or something. Like, just there should be
Yeah.
something, right? Like, it'd be weird if next week there's no patch or anything. But maybe, I mean, they're working on. I assume they're working on the new season. So
Yeah. So the MMR reset happens somewhere this month, and the assumption is that's the new season, right?
yeah, that's my
Right.
assumption.
So then, yeah, it makes sense that there's no real content right now. They're just prepping for that. So yeah, we'll see when that happens. Whenever we have that date, we will relay that to you guys as well, of course. If you have missed it, if it's been announced on Twitter or whatever, that's what the podcast is for.
Sounds good. Well, that will be it for this episode. Thank you guys for joining us in this feedback HSBG Podcast, Gmail, and you can find us on Twitch and Twitter and YouTube and all that fancy stuff. And we'll see you later. We'll see you next time. Any final words?
Final words.
Yeah.
Had a good time. Don't buy too many Chroma Wings, chat. Leave some for the rest of us, okay?
Especially if you're a Sarah, you know.
Be good to your lobby. Skip a Chroma from the time to time.
Something like that.
All right. Have a good one.